Something with a bulbous head and skinny limbs darted across a woman's yard in Compton. A ghostly shape floated through a backyard hammock and flipped it over, and a group of rafters spotted something upright and covered in hair watching them from the trees. Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't a bear. These are disturbing creatures captured by hidden cameras. So this is pretty nuts. Watch the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So a woman in Compton named Jessica Ortiz caught whatever this was on her doorbell camera. It was around 1 a.m. on June 5th when her Ring cam picked up something weird darting across her porch. It's only in frame for a second or two, but it really does look like a little alien dude. I was like, I'm going crazy. I'm literally going crazy. I'm losing my mind, Jessica said after watching it. She grabbed her son and had him check the footage as well, just to make sure she wasn't imagining things. Going on to say, he sat up on his bed and he played it like 3 times. When he was done on the 3rd one, he was like, "Mom, it's an alien, call the police." I was like, I'm not calling the police on an alien, it'd sound crazy, end quote. She called her neighbor though behind the house to ask if anyone had been outside, and no. To make things creepier, Ortiz said that there were loud banging sounds right after the thing ran by. Watch what was captured floating through this person's backyard. Now it definitely looks like smoke at first, but as it moves through the hammock, well, first of all, it completely flips it around, and as it floats across the screen, the vague, formless shape starts to form into what looks like a ghostly entity with its arms stretched out. And it doesn't fade away like smoke would, it comes back, moving in the opposite direction. Watch the top of the screen. So that is pretty weird. This is either some clever VFX work or something that can't be as easily explained. What do you all think? Share your thoughts down below. Next up, we have a new piece of Bigfoot footage for you. On May 24th, a crew from Colorado River Expedition had pulled over on the upper Colorado River for a lunch break when someone shouted, "Bear!" But they quickly realized this wasn't a bear. As lead guide Logan Kirk put it, someone yelled out that they saw a bear, so we started looking at it, and that's when we realized it was something else. It wasn't a bear. It was standing up there on the hillside. It was definitely bipedal, which really stood out to us, end quote. So, here we see this big hairy figure standing upright looking out through the trees. It stands between 2 pines and just stares at the camera, then disappears back into the woods. Now, bears do stand on their hind legs sometimes, but not like this. I'm not going to speak to the validity of this being a Sasquatch or not, but it isn't a bear. Hoax or not a hoax, that's another question, but Kirk isn't done with this yet, saying we're going to go up to see if we can find any evidence of what was going on up there, whether that's footprints or something else. And another recent story out of Colorado, 2 friends hiking in the Rockies may have accidentally snapped a photo of something. A 20-foot tall gray figure clinging to the side of a mountain. Jesse Clausen and Camille Avarella were coming down Long's Peak last year on August 24th when they took a photo of the view, not realizing that there was something lurking in the background. "I was shocked to the bone when we were looking at the picture," Clausen said. "At the time, they didn't see anything unusual. We didn't take the picture because we saw that thing. We just took it because the mountain range was pretty," she continued. The hike started at 2 a.m. and the photo was taken around 9 a.m., right after they'd reached the summit. "We were in full adrenaline mode, so we weren't really paying attention," Clausen explained. Well, weeks later, while showing the photos to family on a big TV screen, Camille's dad spotted something odd. "What the hell? That thing is at least 20 foot or so," he said. And Camille was like, "Should we call the Rangers?" "It could be a rock," Avarella admitted, "but it has all the features of something that is human," Clausen added. But what do you all think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Back in 2022, a man named Henry Hayes was out jogging in Merrickville, Sydney, when he came across whatever the hell this thing is. It was sitting on the street after days of heavy rain. In Harry's own words, "My gut says it's some kind of embryo, but with the pandemic, World War III, and the floods going on right now, this could very well be an alien," end quote. He grabbed his phone and started poking the tiny creature with a stick. It didn't move at all. He posted the video to Instagram. Some people guessed it was a shark embryo or a mutated tadpole. Others agreed with the alien theory, but even biologists were puzzled by the thing. Elia Lisa, a zoologist, posted the pic herself saying, "Hey world, what is this thing? I thought possum/glider embryo, but I have no context or scale and none of my peers can agree. What is this? Hashtag mystery blob." And to this day, we still have no definitive explanation. This video comes from 2001, but it was shared online in April of 2006. I remember watching it in the very early days of YouTube. It was one of the first supposed Bigfoot videos I watched aside from the Patterson-Gimlin footage. And if you're looking for a creature caught clearly on camera, well, this is better than 90% of the Bigfoot caught on camera videos you'll find all over the internet. And it looks pretty convincing. The fur doesn't look like something you'd see on a cheap costume, and there's shape to the creature, and what looks like visible muscle under the fur. The footage was captured by a man named Harley Hoffman, who kind of went off the radar not too long after this video hit the web. Does that mean he hoaxed the whole thing and just didn't want to keep up the lie? Is the footage genuine, but he just had a hard time handling all the attention? Who knows? But when it comes to Sasquatch footage, this is still one of my favorite clips. This piece of footage was captured at a home in North Carolina. The video was posted to Reddit by Whole Negotiation 1843. The homeowners were terrified when they got a notification from their home security camera. They were expecting maybe a raccoon or something, but when they saw this pale, spindly thing, they immediately called the cops. As for what to report, well, at first they thought it was some naked dude crawling through the yard, but it didn't take them long to realize this thing did not look human. As for what it was then, the case has yet to be solved. So this is a photograph of a snake, of course, I mean, big deal. But the thing is, this image was supposedly captured from a helicopter. Here it is zoomed out. In August 1959, a Belgian military helicopter was heading back toward Kamina, flying over the Katanga region in what's now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. On board were pilot Colonel Remy Van Laird, along with 3 other men. One was an engineer named Adjutant Kint, who had his camera on him. From roughly 400 feet up, 2 of the men spotted something near a wrecked termite mound that looked like a fallen tree trunk. The problem was, it was moving. By the time they got Van Laird's attention, they'd already flown past it. So Van Laird turned the helicopter around and dropped lower. And that's when it became clear they were not looking at wood. It was a massive snake. Van Laird made several low passes while Kent rushed to get a photo. He managed one single shot before they were forced to leave, running low on fuel. And the last thing they wanted to do was land near that massive serpent. All 4 men estimated the snake at about 14 meters long, or around 45 feet. It sounded ridiculous, but locals already had a specific name for snakes that big. Normal pythons were called moma, but giants like this were known as pumina. One settler had reportedly run into one years earlier along a nearby railway line. Years later, Van Laird said the head lifted several feet and claimed that if they'd gone any lower, it could have struck the helicopter. This is known as the Corfu Island creature, sometimes called the Grecian dolphin. It was first mentioned in 2015 after this strange photo started spreading online, taken off the coast of Greece. We see what looks like some sort of dolphin-like thing breaking the surface, but it's obviously not a normal-looking dolphin. The photo was taken near Parga by a Scottish tourist named Harvey Robertson. He was on a boat tour with his family, drifting through the sea caves, just trying to photograph the usual green color of the water. He didn't notice anything strange at the time, but later, while looking through his phone, he realized he'd caught something. In one photo, a gray shape rises out of the water. In the next, it's gone. Robertson said it looked like an elongated manatee. Some people just call this one a hoax, of course. Others think it may have actually been a real creature, though, some sort of mutated animal. There's also another theory that this could be a surviving Ambulocetus, an extinct ancestor of whales. Here's some more well-known Sasquatch footage. Help, I think I saw a skunk ape. On October 28, 2013, a Mississippi hunter named Josh Highcliffe uploaded an unsettling video to his YouTube channel. According to him, the footage was taken just west of Tunica, Mississippi. What he caught on camera looked like a large, dark, bipedal creature crouched low and almost hidden inside what appeared to be a hollow tree stump. At first, Highcliffe didn't think much of it, saying, "Initially, I thought it was a pig. Then I noticed these broad shoulders and a head held high with its hands. There was this huge black monster crouching near a dead cypress tree about 50 meters away. I immediately got scared and wanted to run away. I didn't even think about shooting. However, as soon as I realized that nobody would believe me, I felt like time had stopped. So he pulled out his phone and started recording, but then it stood up. And as it rose, it was suddenly clear how big this thing actually was. That's when Highcliffe panicked and took off. This series of images have become some of the most infamous sea monster photographs in history, aside from the Nessie photo we've all seen 600 times. Back in December 1964, a Frenchman named Robert Laseric was crossing Stonehaven Bay near Hook Island, Queensland, with his wife, kids, and his first mate. They just bought a motorboat and were basically living island life for a few months. While drifting over a shallow lagoon, Laseric's wife noticed something sitting on the bottom. It was massive, dark shape, stretched out and completely still. Laseric later described it as around 30 feet long, shaped like a giant tadpole. Smooth skin, no fins, no spines, no visible teeth, mostly black with faint stripes. Everyone on board thought it was dead, long enough that they actually got into the water to try and film it. And that's when it moved. As Laseric approached with the camera, the creature opened its mouth and started gliding toward them. They bolted back to the boat, and by the time they regrouped, the animal was gone. Photos of the creature spread in newspapers and magazines and quickly became infamous. Were these genuine images of an unknown sea creature, or was it just a case of clever angles? Or plastic sheets shaped and weighted underwater? Some said it may have been a giant swamp eel, but those rarely exceed 5 feet. And finally, we come to the undisputed king of unexplained creatures captured clearly on camera, the Patterson-Gimlin Sasquatch footage. Yes, it's been talked about to death, but not by me. This is actually the first time I've talked about the footage on this channel, which is impressive considering how many Bigfoot videos I've done. What can I say? This is still the best piece of video evidence we have for the creature. The camera is steady, we get a nice long shot of it walking across an open stretch of land. There's no trees blocking the view, it's not captured from too far away. There's just a reason why this is not just the best Bigfoot footage ever captured, but the best cryptid footage in general. There's still debate to this day as to how authentic this is. I've heard convincing arguments on either side, and it's really the continuing conversation surrounding this footage that's kept this one alive. People have analyzed every frame of this video, examining the creature's odd gait, what looks like muscle moving under the fur. Hoax or not, it's a damn intriguing piece of footage, and that's why it's at the top of this list.
In our number 4 spot today, we have the Sucuriju gigante. Deep within the shadowy waters of the Amazon, legends speak of the Sucuriju gigante, a serpent of unimaginable proportions that makes even the largest known anacondas seem like mere garter snakes. This isn't just another tall tale. Locals swear by sightings of this behemoth, describing a creature so massive it can coil itself around entire boats and drag them under without a ripple left behind. Fishermen share whispered stories of ripples that grow into waves, of enormous scales glimpsed just beneath the water's surface, and of friends who ventured into certain parts of the river, never to return. The jungle teems with unexplained disappearances and eerie accounts of livestock vanishing from riverbanks overnight. Could a snake of such colossal size truly evade scientific discovery, or is this just a manifestation of the Amazon's untamed spirit? Either way, the mere possibility keeps even the bravest souls a little weary, reminding us that some depths are better left unexplored. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Sachamama. In the deepest reaches of the Amazon rainforest, where the trees tower like ancient guardians, stories emerge about the Sachamama, the mother of the jungle. This isn't merely a snake, but a colossal serpent so immense that over time the forest has grown over her, with trees and vines intertwining across her massive form. Travelers speak of moments where the jungle falls eerily silent and a strange tranquility washes over them. It's then that they realize they're standing upon something that's not Earth, but the scaled back of the Sachamama herself. Despite her seemingly immobile state, she possesses a hypnotic power that can entrance anyone who wanders too close, trapping them in an eternal spell. Those ensnared are said to become one with the jungle, their stories ending where the Sachamama's begins. Is she a benevolent protector of the wild, or a lurking danger awaiting the next unsuspecting soul? In our number 2 spot today, we have Latunda. Among the many eerie tales that echo through the Amazon rainforest, the legend of Latunda sends shivers down the spine like no other. Originating from Afro-Ecuadorian lore, this shape-shifting vampiric creature is said to prowl the jungle, searching for unsuspecting victims. Latunda has a terrifying ability. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one, be it a family member, a close friend, or even a romantic interest. Everything seems normal, but there's always something subtly off that hints at the imposter beneath the facade. Luring people deeper into the tangled heart of the forest, Latunda isolates them from any chance of rescue. It's in this remote wilderness that she reveals her true form, draining the life force of her victims to sustain her own existence. Stories tell of people who followed a familiar face into the trees, only to disappear without a trace. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the black jaguar. Amidst the labyrinth of vines and towering trees in the Amazon, tales abound of the black jaguar, known locally as the jaguar negro. This isn't your average big cat, it's a mystical, melanistic jaguar said to be larger than any ever documented. Cloaked in fur so dark it seems to absorb the light, this elusive predator moves through the jungle like a shadow-given form. Locals whisper that its eyes glow with an otherworldly light, piercing the inky darkness of the forest nights. Believed to possess supernatural powers, the black jaguar is more than just an animal. It's considered an omen of death. Hunters who have attempted to track this creature often vanish without a trace, fueling stories that it can traverse between the physical world and the spiritual realm. Some say it guards the secrets of the jungle, ensuring that its mysteries remain untouched by human hands. Whether rooted in reality or born from cautionary tales, these creatures embody the perils that can befall those who venture unprepared into the unknown. Exploration is a human instinct, but some secrets of the Amazon might be best left undisturbed. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Yakumama. Deep in the winding currents of the Amazon River, stories persist about the Yakumama, the legendary mother of water. This isn't your average fish tale. We're talking about a serpent of unimaginable proportions, said to reach lengths of up to 160 feet. Locals believe this colossal creature lurks near the river's mouth, waiting silently beneath the surface. The most unsettling part? The Yakumama is rumored to have the power to suck in anything within a 100-foot radius. Boats vanish without a ripple, and unsuspecting victims are pulled under, leaving nothing but questions behind. Some think it's the river's way of protecting itself, a guardian ensuring that only the respectful may pass. Is there a mammoth serpent hiding in those depths, or are these stories meant to keep thrill seekers at bay? In our number 9 spot today, we have El Tunchi. Walking through the dense Amazon rainforest, travelers might hear a haunting whistle that seems to come from all directions at once. This is El Tunchi, a malevolent spirit said to manifest as an eerie sound echoing through the jungle. Locals warn that the whistle isn't just unsettling, it's a lure. Those who follow it are drawn deeper into the labyrinth of trees and shadows. People who disrespect the jungle, taking more than they need or harming its creatures, are particularly at risk. Many have ventured towards that mysterious sound only to vanish without a trace. Is it just the wind playing tricks, or could there truly be a vengeful spirit guarding the heart of the Amazon? Either way, the legend of El Tunchi adds an unsettling layer to the already mysterious rainforest, reminding us that some paths are better left unexplored. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Mapinguari. Deep within the untamed depths of the Amazon rainforest, locals speak in hushed tones about the Mapinguari, a creature that challenges the boundaries between myth and reality. This towering figure is described as a giant, covered in thick, matted hair that conceals most of its grotesque features. But the most unsettling detail, a gaping mouth right in the middle of its stomach, lined lined with sharp teeth ready to devour anything or anyone that crosses its path. With claws long enough to carve through tree trunks, the mapinguari is said to roam the jungle with a fierce sense of territory. Those who've caught a whiff of its presence describe an overpowering stench so vile it can bring a grown person to their knees. Stories tell of unfortunate souls who ventured too far and encountered this beast, never to return. Could this be a surviving remnant of prehistoric times? Perhaps a giant ground sloth that evaded extinction? Or is it a cautionary tale woven to keep explorers wary of the rainforest's hidden dangers? In our number 7 spot today, we have Encantado. Amid the winding rivers and dense foliage of the Amazon, tales abound of the Encantado, a creature as captivating as it is dangerous. Locals speak of these shapeshifters who often take the form of sleek river dolphins, known for their intelligence and mysterious aura. But when the sun dips below the horizon, the Encantado is said to emerge from the water as an irresistibly seductive human, blending effortlessly into nearby villages. With enchanting music and charm that can bewitch even the most guarded hearts, they draw people into their spell. The real peril begins when an Encantado fixates on someone, leading them to the river's edge. Victims are either pulled into the depths, never to surface again, or left with a haunting madness that defies explanation. Stories circulate of festival nights where a stranger's captivating gaze led to a person's disappearance by morning. Could these beings be spirits guarding the secrets of the river, or are they something far more sinister? The legend of the Encantado adds an alluring yet ominous chapter to the rich folklore of the Amazon, reminding us that not all that glitters under the moonlight is benign.
Now, what exactly are these things? Walking pairs of pants? Well, they've been dubbed the Fresno Nightcrawlers, and they've been captured on camera more than once. The clip here was taken in Yosemite National Park. This next video was actually the first time the creatures were ever caught on camera. Take a look at this. It all started with a man named Jose in Fresno, California. He had a security camera set up outside his house, mostly to keep an eye on his lawn. One night, he was woken up by his dogs barking. He checked the camera footage, and that's when he saw this strange, white, almost ghostly figure walking across his lawn. It was tall, thin, and had long, spindly legs that seemed to glide over the grass. Jose was freaked out and woke up his brother to show him the footage. His brother even said he found small, weird footprints outside, but by the time investigators showed up to check it out, all the evidence had washed away. Now, the footage that initially blew up online has kind of disappeared. The only remaining video is this grainy clip taken from a monitor. There was another sighting in 2020 in Billings, Montana, on a home surveillance system, which also caught footage of these mysterious night crawlers. This one's a lot harder to see, but pay close attention to the dark right-hand corner of the screen. So what are these things? They don't really resemble any known animal, and they definitely don't fit your typical cryptid profile like Bigfoot or Mothman. Some people think they could be extraterrestrial beings or interdimensional creatures, or maybe more ghostly apparitions. But skeptics also say they could just be the result of weird camera glitches or that low quality playing tricks on our eyes. This dude just happened to spot a prehistoric wolf in his yard. Yeah, once it runs up to the normal sized dog, we really get the full scope of this thing's size. The thing looks like a dire wolf. Now, this is actually a timber wolf, a huge timber wolf, but a timber wolf all the same. The video was shot in Saskatchewan, and the man who shot it said, "I work as a fishing guide in northern Saskatchewan, and I shot this video on one of our trails around the lodge. We get a lot of bears that come around the lodge, but this year we had a black wolf that started to come around for a few days. We spotted the wolf through the window of the kitchen in the lodge, and I made my way outside with the camera. When I started to take pictures, the wolf left, then returned a few minutes later, and that's when Trigger, his dog, took after the wolf. The wolf waited for Trigger to turn away from him, and that's when he grabbed the dog in the back and threw her up in the air right in front of me. Dan fired into the air, and that broke the fight up. The wolf turned and left. We followed the wolf into the bush and shot again to scare him off. The wolf came back 2 more times that day, looking for the dog, we think. Trigger had a few good wounds and cuts, but she's fine now. This next video is captured in Russia. Take a look at this. The footage is from a remote area in Russia, located between the Ural Mountains and the Volga River, close to the Kazakhstan border. So in the video, we've got a car driving down a dark road. The driver and passengers are chatting in Russian, and if you listen closely, you can clearly hear the word Yeti pop up a few times in their conversation. Now, at first, it sounds like they're just having a normal drive, but then we see what we see about 36 seconds into the clip. This blurry, shadowy figure dashes across the road right in front of the car's headlights. The moment it happens, the car immediately slams to a stop and the engine cuts out. Now, as far as what exactly is in the video, it's hard to say. The figure that dashes across the road is too blurry and fast to make out much detail, plus it's white, so it blends in pretty well with the snow, but from what we can see, it doesn't look like any normal animal or person. Next up, we have another strange video out of Florida. Take a look at this one. The video was shot in Edgewater, Florida. Joe Tiller and his wife April were out on the water near Menard May Park when they recorded a massive creature around 12 to 15 feet long. Now, at first, Joe thought that it was just a big manatee, but something was off about it. He described it saying it had huge muscles like shoulders on a bull. It was as if it was rolling its shoulders like a bear underwater. He also pointed out that they didn't see any fur, head, or limbs though. Tiller, who's lived in the area for 5 years working on boats, said he's never seen anything like this. The creature was even grunting, which freaked him out enough to steer clear when it started heading toward a nearby channel. After sharing the video online, it quickly went viral, but no one can agree on what this thing is. Some think it could be a manatee struggling at low tide. Others have even said it could be a black bear crossing the river, but Tiller went on to say, "I can't find any video online that shows manatees to look like this with rolling shoulders." Wow, this is nightmare fuel. I hate how large whatever this thing is, the fact that it looks slightly human, the glowing eyes, all of it is just the last thing I'd ever want to see walking through the forest at night. Not sure where this one comes from originally. If anyone has any more info on it, let me know down in the comments. Alright, I'm gonna finish off with a fun one. In the Mount Rushmore of cryptids, the Loch Ness Monster is right up there with Bigfoot and whoever else you'd want to put on the list. I imagine Mothman would be on there. Anyway, take a look at this. I can't tell you how much I want this to be real. I don't know where this footage comes from originally. All I know is that it looks pretty convincing, but obviously someone made this with some very skillful CGI or AI or whoever knows what eye these days. But I can say this, out of some of the crazier cryptids like the Loveland Frog and the Flatwoods Monster, the idea of a surviving plesiosaur lurking somewhere out there in the vastness of Earth's waters isn't all that hard to believe. I mean, not only did these things actually exist at one point in time, but there's a lot of unexplored water. Who knows what could be out there, really? I highly doubt there's a surviving dinosaur swimming around in Loch Ness, but in other parts of the world where there's more marine life to feast on, sure, maybe. What would you do if you were out on the water and you saw this?
What the f is that? Go, I don't know what that is, Dave.
This video was uploaded to the Residual Payments YouTube channel back in 2013, and what's freaky about this one is that you see all this movement on the water on the left side of the screen, and then boom, we get something breaching the water much further away. So was this a pair of creatures, or more horrifyingly, just one big animal? Another thing I love about the video is the audible sounds of fear and panic coming from the couple filming. They sound genuinely shocked and freaked out. The story behind this one is that a woman named Patricia and her fiance Dave had been fishing in Sanibel, Florida on October 6th, 2013, when they spotted something in the water. It was a serpentine creature longer than their boat, about 20 feet or about 6 meters. They watched as the thing sped through the water before splashing up, looking like it had wrapped itself around something before descending back down into the water. The pair had also lived in Florida all their lives and had seen plenty of dolphins and manatees over the years, stressing that what they encountered here was not a manatee or a dolphin. Just what in the 7 levels of hell is this thing? Not a whole lot of information on this video. All we know is it was shot in Santa Fe, New Mexico back in the summer. Sightings of chupacabra-like creatures have been reported all over New Mexico, and by extension the rest of the southwestern United States, Mexico, and parts of South America. So could this thing be a goat-sucking monster or something else? Some say it looks like a skinwalker mid-transformation or just a very unhealthy looking person. Whatever it is though, if I lived in New Mexico, I'd probably be switching states. I just don't need something like that around me. What do you all think of this one? Genuine? Hoax? Share your thoughts down below. What you're looking at here is known as the Gable film, a piece of footage supposedly capturing a dogman creature on camera. It's a pretty creepy piece of footage. That old film grain quality gives it this very visceral, uneasy feeling about it. There's a lot of mystery behind this one, but the film was supposedly shot in Michigan at some point in the 70s. A man is being filmed on a snowmobile when the camera cuts to a hill. Crouched atop it is a dark, hairy-looking figure which begins bounding towards the camera, and then this happens. The legend of the Dogman dates all the way back to 1887 when a group of lumberjacks in Wexford County reported seeing this huge, hairy creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog. They described it standing on two legs, like a person, but with glowing eyes, sharp teeth, and claws. Since then, sightings have popped up all over Michigan, especially in the northern parts of the state. People claim they've spotted this eerie creature prowling the woods, particularly in areas like the Manistee National Forest. It's said to be about 7 feet tall, covered in fur, with the body of a human but the face of a snarling dog. This footage here was supposedly taken at the Roswell crash site. Again, we have a nice, creepy, grainy piece of footage here. Now, if this footage is indeed real, it would have been kept under wraps for a very long time. There was a ton of secrecy surrounding Roswell, but is it possible this footage came from a whistleblower? I definitely love to believe it, but I have my doubts. I've always been fascinated by the Roswell case itself though. We all know the story. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. It was described as a flying disc, but then almost overnight the story changed and authorities said it wasn't a flying saucer and that it was a weather balloon. But in the decades since, whistleblowers have come forward saying they know the real story, saying they saw alien bodies being recovered from the crash site. Alien bodies that have been described pretty much exactly like the ones seen in this clip. Number 6, Mothman of Gallia County. Most of us have probably heard of the infamous Mothman. Large, winged, glowing red eyes. It was first reported in West Virginia in 1966, but one of the most famous sightings of this large flying insect was over the Silver Bridge that connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia to the village of Gallipolis, Ohio. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I think it's Gallipolis. This sighting happened just a year after the first reported Mothman sighting, and right around the time when the creature was spotted on the Silver Bridge, it collapsed. And some still believe that this mysterious cryptid was the one responsible. There have also been reported Mothman sightings before other big disasters, which has led some to speculate as to whether Mothman is a bad omen or if it is simply appears as kind of like a warning of impending doom, bad or good. Orange eyes. Now, this is a Sasquatch type creature that could very well be the same type of creature as a couple others we'll be discussing on the list. There are many Sasquatch variations seen throughout Ohio, but this one is famous for, as you could probably imagine, it's got these glowing orange eyes. There have been reports of strange creatures with orange eyes lurking in Ohio, said to reside in the Riverside Cemetery before moving to the woods by Mill Lake. Witnesses described the creature as resembling a large bipedal humanoid with a muscular build and a hunched posture. Its eyes, once again, seem to emit an otherworldly glow. The creature is reportedly very fast and agile and has been known to vanish into thin air when pursued. Some locals believe that Orange Eyes is a Bigfoot type creature, but there are also those theories that maybe a kind of supernatural being or extraterrestrial entity as well. And number 4, we have Dogman. Most Dogman reports come out of Michigan, but there have been sightings in Ohio as well. According to witnesses, the Dogman is a bipedal, wolf-like creature that stands between 6 and 7 feet tall with a muscular build and a snarling dog-like face. The first reported sightings of the Dogman in Ohio occurred in the late 1980s. Since then, there have been numerous other sightings reported in the state. Witnesses have reported seeing the creature hunting in the woods, stalking prey even running across highways at high speeds. Some skeptics believe that the sightings, of course, may be misidentifications of known animals like bears or wolves, while others believe that the dogman is a real undiscovered species that is yet to be officially documented by science. Number 3, the Crosswick monster. Now, there's only one report of this cryptid, but it's quite the entertaining tale. It's like something out of a classic 1950s monster movie or something like that, and it's a pretty famous piece of Ohio cryptid folklore. The story goes that in 1882, two boys, Ed and Joe Lynch, began hearing strange sounds coming from the tall grass of a bush behind them. They were fishing, and then before they had time to think, a large four-legged lizard creature popped out from the bushes and began making its way toward them. The boys tried to make their escape, but it caught the 13-year-old Ed in its mouth and began dragging him towards a large hollowed-out tree. 3 men had heard the boys screaming and managed to make it to Ed's aid before he was pulled into the tree, although he was badly injured. A group of about 60 men were formed, armed with axes and clubs, and they tried to slay the beast, but the creature managed to escape, actually standing on its hind legs at one point. It's pretty horrifying. The group chased the creature, which retreated into a hole under a large hill of rocks. The creature was never seen again. Described as black and white in color and roughly 12 feet in length. Number 2, the Minerva monster. This has to be one of the most famous Sasquatch sightings in Ohio. In August of 1978, in the village of Minerva, the first sighting of the creature was reported by the Caton family, who'd seen a large hairy creature in the gravel pit outside of their property, looking to be about 300 pounds. Soon became known as the Minerva monster and terrorized the Caton family on more than one occasion. They described seeing it peering through their kitchen window one night, awful, and when police came to investigate, they saw large footprints around their home with a terrible smell lingering in the air. The creature was also reported to have thrown rocks at their home one day, and they even reported seeing 2 large hairy bipeds on a hill by the strip mine near their property. The family has been adamant about what they saw ever since, and their story has remained consistent. It wasn't just the Catons who had run-ins with the large ape-like creature, though. Other locals began reporting seeing a similar creature in and around the Minerva area around the same time. And that's going to bring us to our number 1 spot, the Ohio grassman. There's a very good chance that the Minerva monster and Orange Eyes are the very same creature I'm describing here, as they're all big, tall, furry, ape-like creatures. Grassman is pretty much Ohio's nickname for Bigfoot, described as a large, hairy, bipedal creature standing between 7 and 9 feet tall. Grassman is said to have human-like face and a muscular build. Witnesses have reported hearing eerie vocalizations and howls coming from the woods, as well as seeing large footprints that they believe belong to the creature. The first reported sightings of the Ohio grassman occurred in the late 1800s, but the creature gained widespread attention in the 1970s when multiple sightings were reported in the state. Since then, there have been numerous other sightings reported in the area, while some skeptics dismiss the sightings, of course, as misidentifications of, animals or even hoaxes. Others believe that the grassman is real and he's an undiscovered species. So I don't know, what do you think? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And we're starting off this list today with the Werewolf of Defiance. It's the summer of 1972. 2 railroad workers were hard at work on the Norfolk and Western Railway when all of a sudden, one of them, Ted Davis, looked up to see a large wolf-like creature with a wooden board grasped between its paws, which it then whacked the man in the shoulder with before turning off into the bushes to run away like a coward. 5 days later, Ted and his coworker Tom Jones returned to the railway for another day's work, hoping they wouldn't be seeing the big furry monster again. Only they did. Only this time it was a bit of a safe distance away. Not that I'd ever feel a safe distance away from a werewolf, but that's just me. And then they reported the sightings to the police. Right around this time, more and more Wolfman sightings began piling in, and locals began to panic about the potential of being mauled by a 6-foot-tall werewolf. Imagine actually feeling that was a possibility. You're heading out of the grocery store and you're like, damn, really hope I don't run into a lycanthrope today. that's their life apparently in Ohio. Up next, we have the Loveland frog. This mysterious creature has been reported to have been sighted in Loveland, Ohio. The amphibious creature is said to resemble a bipedal frog, standing upright on its hind legs, measuring up to 4 feet tall. Not that big, but pretty big for a frog though. Got leathery skin, webbed fingers and toes, you all know how frogs look, and it's also got those iconic glowing large eyes. The first reported sighting of the Loveland frog was in 1955, when a man claimed to have seen 3 of them on the side of the road holding some kind of strange wand-like device. Again, only in Ohio would you spot 3 large frogs practicing magic under a bridge. I really gotta visit Ohio sometimes. It just seems like such a fantastical place. Again, Narnia got nothing on Ohio. Anyway, since that initial 1955 sighting, there have been several other ones, including one by a police officer in 1972 who reported seeing a creature fitting the description of the Loveland frog scuttling across the road and then hopping over the guardrail into the Little Miami River. Another officer even claimed to have shot at the creature, but it escaped. Some people believe the Loveland frog is an escaped exotic pet or mutated frog, while others speculate that it is a supernatural type of creature. At number 8 on the list, we have melonheads. The melonheads are a group of cryptids that have been reported to have been sighted in various locations in Ohio, but are primarily found in the Cleveland suburb of Kirtland. These creatures are said to be small in stature with large, bulbous heads and distorted facial features. According to legend, they were the result of an experiment gone wrong in which scientists conducted unethical experiments on orphans, resulting in the creation of these strange bobble-headed beings. Some variations of the story also claim that the melonheads are the descendants of a family who suffered from a rare genetic disorder, maybe, that caused their heads to grow abnormally large. Some even say they could be of extraterrestrial origin, which whatever they are though, I want to see one. I'm telling you, I'm coming to Ohio to go on a full cryptid scavenger hunt, and I'd better see me a weird deformed melonhead.
Number 6, Wampus. You may be familiar with this one for its status as a house mascot for the American Wizarding School of Ilvermorny from the Harry Potter universe, but it actually is a cryptid that has supposedly been spotted across the United States. It is also known as the Wampus Beast or Cherokee Death Cat and is described as a large panther-like creature. It is described a bit differently based on where you live in the country. In West Texas, it's said to be nocturnal and have a loud voice. In Washington, it's said to have piercing yellow eyes that can drive you insane. In Cherokee mythology, the Wampus started out as a woman who did not trust her husband. When he went out to hunt with a fellow warrior, she put on a mountain lion skin in order to spy on him. When she was found out, the medicine man cursed her to wear the skin forever, turning her into the Wampus cat. It's usually cited and blamed for killing livestock, so you may not have to worry too much about this one unless you're a chicken or a sheep, but I would still be wary. Number 5, Hodag. Alright, the back half of this list consists mainly of creatures that I picked just because they had funny sounding names. So these ones may not be the most terrifying things ever, but you may experience a small amount of humor and let out a short forceful exhale from your nose when you hear the name. First, we are heading to northern Wisconsin to meet the Hodag. In 1893, a man named Gene Shepard said that he encountered the creature in the woods. It was described as having spikes down its entire length of its body, with a fistful of needle-sharp pointed spears at the end of its tail, fangs that would rival a saber-toothed tiger, and the ability to rip out the belly of the biggest bear. He brought a group of lumbermen back into the woods to capture the creature using dynamite, bringing back what was allegedly its charred remains. Later on, he would claim that he had captured a living Hodag, though this performance was proven to have been a hoax. Number 4, Whirling Wimpus. Next up, we have a creature said to reside within North American woods. It's described as being a similar creature to Sasquatch and Bigfoot, but it's not because it's a Wimpus and it is different. It is apparently a 7-foot-tall gorilla-like creature that will fool any animal or person. It will apparently hide at a bend in a trail. Then, as you get close, it will start spinning on one foot, making a sound that seems to come from the trees above. So you will look up to try and find the creature, and then it it will kill you, making you into either molasses or maple syrup. I guess it just depends on what they're craving at the time. The Wympus is sometimes described as having horse-like hooved legs and not having much fur. Its favorite foods are apparently people, turkey, deer, cows, and even bears, and the Wympus was held responsible for the disappearances of many lumberjacks. Its whirling act apparently spins at over 2,000 RPM, and apparently it hunts most often at sunset. Number 3. Gewoggle. Now we have the gewoggle, the official monster of Clinton County in Pennsylvania. It apparently hangs out on the hiking trails in the area, and sightings go back all the way to the 1800s. It was apparently a werewolf-like creature that could be summoned by a witch. It is 6 feet tall, shaped like a wolf, standing on its back legs. Instead of hands, it has bird claws, and its back feet are horse hooves, apparently to fool anyone who might try to track it. Witches would apparently summon them to harass nearby farmers who had offended them, the gewoggle trampling crops, damaging tools, and other acts of vandalism. On the roads around the town's border, there have been multiple reports of people seeing bipedal wolves running along the side of the road. In stories, there is a man named Loop Hill Ike who would apparently help the farmers and set fire to the witches' homes. A little harsh, I think. Number 2. Snallygaster. The snallygaster should not be confused with the snollygoster, a totally different creature. The snallygaster is described as a dragon-like beast that apparently hangs around Washington and Frederick County in Maryland. When German immigrants settled in the area in the 1730s, there started being reports of a half-reptile, half-bird creature terrorizing the town. It was described as being like a siren with demonic features, having a metallic beak with razor-sharp teeth. It would apparently swoop down from the sky and pick up its victims, draining them of their blood. 7-pointed stars would apparently keep it at bay, and many local barns still have the symbol painted on them. In the 1900s, reports of the creature started up again, apparently screeching like a locomotive whistle, having claws like steel hooks, and an eye in the center of its forehead. When the Smithsonian offered a reward in exchange for its hide, President Theodore Roosevelt even allegedly postponed an African safari in order to try and hunt the creature. Number 1. Squonk. Alright, this final one is definitely not that terrifying, but I absolutely love him and I have to talk about him, and if you don't love him too, then you are just incorrect. Here's your friendly reminder that the complaints department is down below, and I definitely will take your concerns to heart. The squonk is a creature that lives in the woods of Pennsylvania, first being described in the late 19th century. It is described as having wrinkly skin that doesn't fit, hanging off its body and being covered in warts. Because of this, it is incredibly ashamed of its appearance and spends most of its time crying. Do you understand why I like this guy now? He's relatable. Hunters who have tried to catch a squonk discovered that the creature is capable of just dissolving into a pool of tears and bubbles when confronted. I also hate confrontation so much that I wish I could just dissolve into a pool of tears. Number 10. Ahool. Let's kick this list off with a certifiably pretty scary looking one. It is known as the ahool and is native to the rainforests on the Indonesian island of Java. It is usually described as a giant bat with a wingspan of around 20 feet, or sometimes as a massive flying primate. It has large claws and black eyes and is named for the sound that it supposedly makes. The first reported sighting was in 1925 by a naturalist exploring a waterfall who said that the creature flew right over top of him. He then saw it again 2 years later in 1927. He was staying in a hut listening to the sounds of the forest when he saw the creature again and heard it make its distinct sound, saying it was like nothing else within the jungle. It is said to eat large fish but will also apparently attack humans. It is apparently incredibly defensive and territorial, so it will attack any large animals that trespass across its land. Number 9. Flatwoods Monster. 70 years ago in 1952, the town of Flatwoods, West Virginia was terrorized by the Flatwoods Monster. There were a total of 8 eyewitnesses to the creature, 6 teenage boys, a dog, and their mother. One of the boys reported reportedly peed their pants at the sight of it, and the dog turned around and ran away. The report made local and national news, and the US Air Force even sent a team to investigate if the monster was an extraterrestrial. Here's how the event is described. The boys were apparently playing in a schoolyard when they saw a red light fly across the sky and then crash into a farm. They got their mother, along with a few other boys and their dog, and made their way to where they had seen it crash. They then apparently saw bright eyes in a tree, apparently being a 10-foot tall Frankenstein-like monster. They said it had a red body and glowing green face, and it may have had claws for hands, but they couldn't tell due to the dense mist in the forest. The famous sketch of the creature is absolutely terrifying to look at, and to this day hundreds of monster-seeking tourists visit Flatwoods every week. Number 8. Wahila. The Wahila is a giant wolf-like creature that is reported to live in Alaska and the Northwest Territories, sometimes considered to be the same animal as the saber wolf. So how is it different from a regular wolf? It is apparently much larger, with a wide head and massive feet, being around 4 feet tall to the shoulder. They have apparently never been spotted in packs and prefer to live alone. People in the area say that the Wahila are spirits with supernatural powers, apparently killing people by removing their heads. Because of this, it is native to what is known as the Headless Valley. There are a few different theories about what the reported wolf on could actually be, if not a supernatural being. Some people think that it is just a massive wolf on while others think that it may be a dire wolf that managed to somehow survive past the Ice Age. Number 7. Hide Behind. The Hide Behind is a creature from American folklore, and I bet you can probably guess what it's known for. That's right, it's shockingly good looks. I'm kidding, of course, though this actually could be true considering no one really knows exactly what one looks like. That's because it is actually known for its ability to hide behind things. You will be able to see it out of the corner of your eye, but if you ever try to look at it directly, it's nowhere to be found, hiding somewhere just out of view. It is said to attack people who wander the woods at night and was credited for the disappearances of many early American loggers. It will use its ability to hide to stalk behind humans unnoticed and then attack, dragging them back to its lair to eat them. Creatures that can only be seen just in the corner of your eye can be found all over the world and in many different forms of media. So next time you think you spotted a shadow moving just off to the side, be careful, because the hide behind might just be creeping up to get you.
A Reddit user out in the Midwest has been spotting a strange creature in their neighborhood. First, they posted these images along with a caption reading, "These are photos taken in the Midwest from an iPhone at night. The cryptid in question randomly appears in the same spot. Once a person begins to approach, it will vanish." It was seen again a few weeks ago and moved at an incredible speed across a few backyards. A local dog will bark at the spot that it appears in, even when it's not there. Trail cams will be set up soon. Please give me some ideas as to what it could be. The Redditor also posted an update with a video attached. This time, we can supposedly hear whatever this strange creature is. They wrote in the description, "We've got a video of the cryptid making what sounds like a scream. My friend was trying to find where it was standing but couldn't see it. Once the video ended, it appeared again in his yard but vanished as he went to get his phone again." This video was uploaded to YouTube by Paranormal Planet, who'd been exploring an ice cave in Hallstatt, Austria. Most of the video is pretty standard touristy type footage of the cave until we get to the end and see whatever this is. That is a pretty freaky looking creature. Now, my first thought was like, I don't know, maybe it's a frog or something, but according to the uploader, this thing was the size of a large man, and they were also standing far enough away that they wouldn't have picked it up in this kind of detail if it was something as small as a frog. So if that's to be believed, then this is a pretty strange piece of footage, and honestly, the more I do look at it, the less frog-like this thing really looks. I mean, frogs don't really articulate like this, and they don't usually chill in ice caves either. And the way it bends its limbs almost looks like how a human would climb, except it's way too long and spindly to be a person. So I don't know what this is. Let me know your thoughts down below. This next video was posted to Facebook by a man named Clay Shiner. He was filming the woods one evening because he spotted something moving just behind the tree line. Turns out, was not a bear. The thing that really struck me about this video is how long this thing's arms are. At first it just looks like, a typical formless black shape hiding in the trees like so many Sasquatch videos you see. But when it steps forward a bit and stretches its arms out to the sides, it's like, damn, those are long, very ape-like, and very creepy. Reddit user Adjacent Gunman posted this image with the caption, "Over a year ago, this picture was taken by a trail cam back on my property. This version has been lightened. It's something holding a dead coyote by the throat, and it stands about 7.5 to 8 feet tall." He also posted an unedited version of the image. He said he based the thing's height off of where its eyes are compared to his cabin. Now, this thing is hard to make out, but there's definitely something there. Could it be a bear standing on its hind legs? Possibly, but the way it's holding its prey, it looks almost humanoid. But I don't know, maybe that's just my wishful thinking. I wholeheartedly want Bigfoot to be real. What you're looking at here may not look like much at first glance. It's a snake. I mean, big deal, right? Well, the thing is, this is an aerial photograph taken way up in a helicopter. That snake is said to have been 50 feet long. Back in 1959, Colonel Remy van Leerde, an experienced Belgian World War II fighter pilot, was flying a helicopter over the Congo. As he's flying over the jungle in the Katanga region, he spots something moving down below. He claimed it was a massive snake, and it would have had to be for it to catch his eye way up in a chopper.
Then I was already flying for 25 years, so I have a very good experience of measuring things. And I would say the snake I saw there was close to 50 foot.
The snake had green and brown scales and a head that was apparently 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. You could fit a grown man in its mouth. And as he flew in closer, the snake rose up off the ground about 10 feet into the air like it was trying to strike at the chopper. Van Leerde circled around a few times so someone else on board could snap a photo of it. Of course, skeptics have their doubts, but he stuck to his story up until his death in 1990. But what do you think he saw out there in the jungle? A new species, a leftover from the dinosaur age, or was the whole story a hoax? Let me know what you think in the comments. This next story takes us deep into the heart of Texas, a little rural spot called Dabina out in Fayette County. Michael Demmel captured something really strange on a hunting camera on his property. He has a bunch of these cameras set up, using them to track wildlife like coyotes, bobcats, and raccoons. These motion sensor cameras take about 100 pictures a day, and Michael goes through them every single day. He's been doing this for 10 years, so when he says something looks off, that's really saying something. Well, one night he captured whatever this thing was. He said he thought it was a monkey at first, and to be fair, in the blurry photo it kinda does look like one. Of course, that would still be very, very strange. There are no monkeys just running around in Texas unless one escaped from a zoo, and no, there were no monkey jailbreaks reported. So he shows the image to some friends, tries to get some answers, and the photo eventually hits the local news. Some say the thing looks a lot like a chupacabra, the legendary cryptid that's been blamed for livestock deaths for decades. Others think it has a bit of an alien or skinwalker kind of vibe. Now, the creature's about as big as a medium-sized dog, but the body shape, the face, totally off. Michael said, "In the 10 years I've been reviewing my cameras, I have never encountered anything like it." Even the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department got involved. They looked at the photo but ruled out any normal animal, saying it didn't look like a baby deer or anything they could easily identify. I always liked to imagine Spider-Man was real when I was a kid. Kinda always hoped I'd see him swinging around up there one day. Well, I would have been thrilled to see this next video. This footage was captured at the pedestrian bridge in Kiev, not where you'd be expecting to spot the web slinger, but superheroes do get around. Now clearly this is a person crawling under the bridge, but even so, why? I mean, this is pretty dangerous. That water down below does not look very deep. Unless this person has actual web slinging abilities, if they fall, they're getting hurt or worse. So who is this person? Is it just a thrill seeker? Are they out of their mind? Or is there a chance that this isn't even a person at all and that the camera person caught something otherworldly crawling under that bridge? This piece of footage was uploaded to Reddit by user KeyProposal8529, some sort of strange creature was peering out at them from the woods. They wrote, "Hello all, I live near the Trail of Tears in Missouri. As I got home one night, I saw this thing in the woods by my house. From where it was standing, it has to be tall because there's a ditch right below where it stands. Any ideas? I'm terrified. Yes, I stayed in my car until I got the balls to run inside my house." Now, I have no idea what this thing could be. It's hard to make out, but if the Redditor is telling the truth here, then this is a pretty creepy piece of footage because they pass by this area constantly. I mean, it's right outside their home. They know when something is out of place. On March 21st, something strange was spotted floating low over the rooftops in Saladin, Iraq, and yes, there's video of it. So as you can see, this strange object has a very odd shape. It looks like you took a flying saucer and then made it vertical. It almost looks like Boba Fett's Slave One from Star Wars. It also looks like it has these long trailing tendrils like a jellyfish, not like any drone I've ever seen. The object drifted smoothly over the buildings and a local managed to capture it on camera. The clip quickly spread online, just another piece of video to add to the growing list of UFO sightings this year. People who saw it described it as otherworldly and eerily silent. Some think it might be high-tech military equipment, others think this may actually be proof of something not from this world. But what do you all think? Now, stepping away from frogmen, aliens, and Sasquatch for a moment, let's talk about some mysterious jellyfish that were spotted just a few months back. The video shows two types of jellyfish that no one's ever seen before. At least ones that haven't been documented by science. The footage comes from researchers at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. First up is this one here. A very bizarre looking creature. It's so hard to make sense of. It's just so different from anything we see day to day here on land. Almost looks like it belongs in space. As one of the researchers said while filming the thing though, "I've never seen one of those. Have you?" And then another researcher's like, "Nope." They also captured footage of this smaller jellyfish. NOAA scientists couldn't identify this one either. Both were found during a deep sea dive off the northeastern coast of the US near Newport, Rhode Island. Well, this is a freaky piece of footage. Not only is there a massive dead cow floating through the water, there's something under it. Gonna guess that something was involved in the death of the cow. I mean, good lord, look at the size of this thing. There's a full-on dinosaur swimming in this river. Of course, this is a croc or a gator. I couldn't actually find where this video was filmed, but the thing is an absolute beast. I know, very insightful of me. Take a look at this strange photo. Picture was snapped on Navajo land between cornfields and Greasewood, Arizona. It's been making the rounds on social media lately. According to the person who shared it, her aunt snapped the picture at the end of a small canyon after hearing weird noises while tending livestock on her property. There's not much more info about it, other than claims that the creature was seen again a few days later. The family chose not to go after it. They figured it was best to just leave it alone. Wise. Apparently stories about creatures like this have been told in the area for generations though. What do you think of this one? Only explanation that I have outside of this being a genuine Sasquatch, of course, is a black bear. There are black bears in Arizona. I'm not sure if they frequent this specific area. If anyone from Arizona can enlighten me in the comments, that would be great. A video from Buenos Aires this week has gotten people talking about possible demons or something strange. Very strange. This short blurry clip that's been getting shared around quite a bit on social media, at least on the forums I check out, shows what looks like a street or garden in Argentina. Here we can see some sort of bizarre dark figure crawling on all fours toward the camera while a few dogs walk around in the background. The creature seems to have very long spindly limbs, but it's hard to see clearly because it's dark and the video quality isn't really the best. Local news says this happened in the town of Saladillo, and people living there are reportedly scared of whatever it was. Some witnesses have called it demonic and say it has inhuman agility that lets it climb walls and jump between trees. A local firefighter who didn't want to give his name said that, quote, something was going on. Another witness added, he's something big. He doesn't walk on all fours, he walks backwards. He's disjointed, he comes apart, his head is upside down while his body moves in an impossible way. All of that said in Spanish. Of course, this series of photos were posted to Reddit a couple weeks back by SnakeTree1911, who wrote, I work as a land steward in the northeastern part of the US. Part of my job is reviewing images taken by our game cams. We recently pulled a cam from a fairly remote area, which hasn't been checked in a long time. These images caught my eye. None of the naturalists on our staff could ID this thing. I'm not sure if I believe in cryptids or whatever, but I don't know what this thing is. It's not a deer, it certainly isn't a bobcat, and if it's a black bear, it's the biggest one I've ever seen. I included a daytime photo so you can see that it's not just some weird shaped rock or whatever. I don't know, let me know what you think. And I will pose that same question to all you fine people watching. What do you think? Did a fisherman just capture footage of the real-life gill man? Apparently a guy was fishing near Barnegat Bay in eastern New Jersey when he saw something poke its head out of the water. He had no idea what he was looking at. The more he looked at it, the thing just kept rising and rising until the whole upper half of its body was out of the water, and it was clear that this was not your ordinary animal. I mean, yikes. How'd you like to be swimming in the water with this thing? I gotta say, this creature looks pretty convincing. Definitely gives me the ick, but there are a couple fun comments that I wanna mention as well. One person says, this is BS. If anyone saw that, they'd run, not record for 3 minutes, which, you know, fair enough. I can see where they're coming from there, but someone else responded, it's called a stare down. The person out of fear and the frog out of confusion, hence the term scared stiff. Also a good point, but I really just love that they called this thing a frog. And also someone else commented, this is what happens when people stop eating frog legs. People just love calling this guy a frog. I don't know what frogs you people are looking at, but anyway. This next clip was shared by Sunny Vader on YouTube. The footage was captured by campers in Clearwater County, Alberta last month. The uploader had been tearing down their camp when they spotted this large, dark figure lurking in the trees nearby. He managed to quietly capture the thing on camera before it made its way back into the woods. They probably thought it was a bear at first, but after zooming in on the thing with the camera, they probably immediately changed their mind. It seems to be standing upright. Not that bears can't do that, but they usually won't for very long. It looks to me like this is a massive, hairy ape man spying on a couple hikers in the woods.
In our number 6 spot today, we have isopods. Okay, so you know pill bugs or potato bugs or roly-polies, whatever you want to call them. You know, the gross little bugs? Well, what if I told you that there's a sea creature that looks like them? And then what if I told you that sometimes this sea version grows to be like the size of a puppy? Yeah, a little unnerving and very disgusting, right? These things are actually isopods, and while most don't grow to be that large, one of the largest on record was found washed up in Indonesia. It has been nicknamed giant for obvious reasons and was measured to be about 13 inches long. This discovery, while disgusting, also proved to be quite remarkable as it was the first giant isopod to be found in over a decade. In our number 5 spot today, we have the octopus anomaly. When this creature was found, it almost became someone's meal until its anomaly was realized. It was an octopus, but instead of 8 arms, this one had 9. That's like a Novemopus now. Of course, this led to the question, how does an octopus grow 9 arms? Well, that has to do with their ability to regrow limbs. Like how lizards can regrow tails, octopuses have the ability to regenerate their own arms, but sometimes this process goes a little wonky. It's likely that this octopus at some point had to regrow their arm, and while that was happening, this new arm just sprouted another new one, thus the 9-armed octopus was born. Apparently these sorts of things can happen over and over again to just one octopus. According to a 1965 study, it is said that this once gave an octopus 90 different arms. So that's a lot. In our number 4 spot today, we have this unidentified creature. This creature was found on shore after the devastating 2011 tsunami that hit Japan. A survivor of this disaster was the one who found this strange creature, and while at first, from a bit of a distance, it appeared as though it could be like a small whale or something like that. From close up, it appeared more like a boulder or a large rock, leaving people completely baffled. In the end, especially because all of the work that experts needed to turn their focus to during this time, whatever was seen by this person wasn't fully looked into, so what it ended up being remains a bit of a mystery. There's a video of the entire ordeal so that you can get a little bit of a closer look. In our number 3 spot today, we have the slickhead. This is a discovery that actually ended up being the moment an entire new species was discovered. Found in Japan, researchers were thrilled when they saw this colossal sea monster and realized that despite the heavily fished area that it came from, no one had ever found this fish before. The fish belonged to a family of fish known as slickheads, which are known for their scale-free heads and gill covers. But unlike other much smaller members of its family, this new find was a beast. The previously known members of this family usually grew to be about 14 inches in length, but this one was a massive 55 inches long and 55 pounds heavy. Another thing about this fish that made it different from its other family members is that while slickheads are usually known for eating plankton and weak swimmers such as jellyfish, this new huge guy had evidence that showed he hunted other fish and was actually quite the predator. Despite this guy and his massive, terrifying look, it was definitely an exciting day for those getting to research this newfound fish. In our number 2 spot today, we have a long journey. After the devastating Japan tsunami that occurred in 2011, for years after, the oceans saw repercussions. Of course, this was also a disaster that carried over to land. Many people died, many homes and businesses were destroyed. I'm not trying to minimize or disregard the impact this tsunami had on humans. This is just a list of creatures, so that's what we're focusing on today. So basically, years after the tsunami, a whole slew of strange creatures started washing up on the shores of the Pacific Northwest and California. Some of these new creatures were even clinging to plastic debris that had been swept out to sea in the disaster. These creatures would continue to arrive year after year. We're talking shellfish, crustaceans, marine worms, sea stars, sponges, and even fish. What was alarming is that they were alive, and while that is great, some of these species are invasive and can totally throw off an entire ecosystem. It truly has been quite a time for research to see how this happened and how it affects both the animals themselves and the new area that they've been washed ashore to. In our number 1 spot today, we have the sea monster. Back in March of 2012, the nightmarish sea monster washed up on South Carolina shores and had people completely confused and stunned. People had truly no idea what it was, and the theories of course started swirling. Many people believed it was some sort of never before discovered sea monster, and honestly, I do not blame them. This thing looked weird, creepy, and I would have had no other guesses. It honestly looked like it could have been from Jurassic Park, but in the end, thankfully there are many people out there who know much more than I do, and experts were able to take the wheel and get to the bottom of this mystery. In the end, a local veterinarian was able to determine that this washed up creature was in fact the corpse of a sturgeon that was covered in scut. The reason everyone thought it was a monster is because sturgeons are huge, growing to be 800 pounds and up to 15 feet in length. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the mysterious mass. When a mysterious mass washed up on shore in Indonesia, people had a lot of questions. At first, it was rumored to be the corpse of an enormous squid, which, to be fair, really would be quite the sight. Locals were flocking to the area to get a glimpse at this washed-up creature, which is said to have been the size of a shipping container. After more examination was done by experts, they got to the bottom of what this creature really was, and it was no squid. No, instead, this creature was actually a whale, a sperm whale to be more specific. Indonesia's Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries explained why this creature looked so far from itself when they explained the gruesome decomposition process. They said, quote, "With sperm whales, when they decay, the intestines will come out through the bottom of the throat, which is striped like a pumpkin, and they become curved." So that's gross, but at least it gives us answers to this long-time mystery. In our number 9 spot today, we have double trouble. Over in the Netherlands, this is a discovery that, when it occurred, it shocked all of those who were there to see it. 2 fishermen were the ones that stumbled upon this, and at first they thought they were seeing double. That is because what they found was actually a 2-headed porpoise. Of course, further research was done on this animal because the fishermen knew it was rare, but I don't think they knew just how rare it really was. Experts would go on to later confirm that this was the first case of conjoined twin porpoises ever discovered. In fact, it's so shocking that this happened because it's only the 10th known within the group of sea mammals that they belong to, which is a group that includes whales and dolphins. It truly was quite a remarkable discovery, albeit probably a bit shocking when it first happened. In our number 8 spot today, we have jellyfish. Back in 2017, there was a mega swarm of giant barrel jellyfish that ended up washed along the Welsh coastline. Like, I'm talking about thousands of them, and these creatures can be quite large as well, growing to be about 35 inches in diameter. Many experts were shocked and had explained that they had never seen this many, especially this large before, so it was truly quite the sight to see. Experts explained that the unseasonably warm weather that was seen at the time likely boosted their numbers, and this may explain the mass quantity of them. In terms of how they ended up there, well, they were probably caught up while attempting to migrate. In our number 7 spot today, we have the sea snake. Okay, so rather than after disaster, these creatures kept showing up before disaster, and it had many people thinking that perhaps they were some sort of omen, and I can totally understand why. In the Philippines, before devastating earthquakes would appear, there would be these 10-foot long creatures being referred to as sea serpents that would be found washing up on the beaches. Listen, if I found a weird, huge sea snake a bunch of times before something bad happened, I would also 100% think that it had some sort of omen. It turns out that these were just oarfish, and no, they're not an omen, and no, they can't predict earthquakes or other natural disasters.
This image was captured by a Reddit user's security camera. WeirdSet2248 writes, "This is a Tapo camera out the back. The edge of it catches the neighbor's garden. I have chickens out back, which is a new addition. My mom wanted to see a pic of them to see if I could keep an eye on them over the camera, and she replied saying, 'What's up with your neighbor's face?' WTF is going on with his face, Skinwalker?" And yeah, there's clearly something off here. The mouth, especially. When I first looked at this post, the face reminded me of something. I just couldn't put my finger on it. But thankfully, a commenter beat me to it, saying it looks like the guy is wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask. Kinda looks like that live-action horror version of Winnie that came out a couple years ago. This piece of footage comes from a CCTV camera in Thailand. Security guards were stunned by this strange object floating through the air. Take a look at this. Now, a lot of people were quick to say this was just a drone, but others have different opinions, including the guards. At one point, the guy filming the footage captured on the CCTV says the word Penanggalan. Now, Penanggalan is this vampiric creature from Malaysian and Indonesian folklore. By day, she looks like a normal woman, but at night, her head detaches from her body and floats around with her guts still dangling underneath. She flies through the air looking for victims, usually pregnant women, and feeds on them using her long tongue and organs. To keep her body safe while she's out hunting, she hides it somewhere and soaks it in vinegar so that her guts don't swell up. People would hang thorns or broken glass around their homes to snag her when she tried to come in, and if you ever found her empty body while she was out, you could kill her by burning it or stuffing it with sharp objects so she couldn't return to it before sunrise. So yeah, pretty gruesome creature. Luckily though, no reports of people being mauled by a flying head at the time this security footage was taken. This video comes from Reddit user illdisciplined3142, whose motion capture camera caught something really strange in their neighbor's backyard. Take a look at this. So it's not on screen very long, but the figure does appear to have a bit of an odd shape. The Redditor wrote in the description, "The camera was placed towards the back end of the property. Directly in front of the camera is a massive 10,000 plus acre forest, meaning this creature would be walking towards the street from the forest at 2:39 a.m. with zero lights guiding it. The camera began to also pick up strange sounds after it was seen and continued to do so for about 30 seconds before ending. At this point of view, this creature would have to be 9+ feet tall, as the camera is placed about 10 feet up. This is entirely unedited footage. I have absolutely no idea what this could be, and the movement is strangely slow. Rewatching this footage brings me goosebumps of which I never felt before, since this was really close to my house as well. This is also an area that rarely has hunters, as it is a very protected forest. If anyone can attempt to identify what this truly is, it would save me a lot of thoughts. This is a pretty odd video. It comes from Reddit user SoggyGate9281, who asked, "What does everyone think this is?" The alarms are being set off because it's picked up motion detection. And I really don't know what to make of it. Seems to me it's just this glowing stick moving across the screen. Then it moves out of frame, but keep your eyes on the walkway at the bottom of the screen. A shadow moves across the frame, so someone or something was definitely outside, but who or what and why? This clip comes from Reddit user 87 Lucas Oliveira, who wrote in the heading, "A video captured by a security camera recorded a humanoid-looking shadow / transparent apparition at the back of the property, moving from left to right, leaving the dogs of the residents very agitated." The recording took place on a farm in El Salvador on February 6, 2025. So let's take a look at this. Now, it's hard to make out because the figure seems to be semi-translucent, but there's definitely something there. Notice how fast the thing moves too. It doesn't look like someone walking, it looks like something gliding, although, as the Redditor says, it does have a humanoid shape to it. And I love that there are dogs freaking out in this video. It just means it's not a case of a technical issue with the camera. I think this is a pretty strange video, but what do you all think? This Reddit user's grandparents captured something disturbing on their home security camera. Draw Representative 12 shared these images just the other day, along with a brief description. He said that a year or two ago, he was at Thanksgiving dinner, and his grandfather showed him these images on his living room camera. His grandparents don't live with anyone else. There's no little girl in the home, at least not that they know of. So who's walking through the living room here? And just what in the hell is this nightmare fuel standing in the doorway? Draw Representative 12 also said that his grandparents aren't tech savvy enough to hoax something like this. Seems to me there could be someone secretly squatting in the home. Either that or something else was captured on camera here. I'm really not sure which is worse.